All right, guys, I'm sorry about the admin stuff. I was just trying to figure out what's going on. Apparently, now let me just talk about this for a second. So this link right here, what I think is happening is, and let me grab my pen really fast, guys, and then we're going to get started. So this link right here, I think Rick is clicking that and it's taking him to a different webinar. But the reason why that is because his page probably hasn't been refreshed in a couple of days. So it might have, what do they call it when they, what do they call it when you have?
It's cached, right?
Yeah, it's got a cache, right? Exactly. So, so anyway, just yeah, thanks, Stelios. And I think that's what's happening here. So he clicks on the link and it's bringing him to some different webinar that's already pre-recorded. So I'm not sure how we can fix that, if we can even fix it, but it's something that, you know, if one of our users has, like Rick's been with us for a long time, like, you know, and I've known him for, you know, 15 years. I mean, if he's having an issue, he's not the only one. That means somebody else is probably, you know, getting a similar issue, at least at some point. So anyway, thanks, Rick, for the feedback. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. So let's talk a little bit about, I just took a position in the US dollar CNH. All right. And I'm going to share with you the reason why. And now this may be a little premature, but I did it anyway, and it's small, but I want to add it by the end of the day. So, you know, the US dollar CNH is obviously selling off. It's breaking down. Okay. You can see it breaking through support. What you'll notice here is that we are breaking through support, but also on a day when the dollar is actually firming up against, you know, currencies like, you can see the Aussie is actually reversing from its highs. The Kiwi is at risk of, you know, giving us a false breakout. The euro is obviously trading a little heavy. And so if the dollar continues to strengthen here, I actually would love, there's nothing more that I love than being involved in a false breakout or breakdown going the opposite direction. So if the US dollar CNH is broken lower and then we reverse higher by the end of the day, then my feeling would be that we're going to have a couple of days of moving higher. We're going to get a, you know, we're going to get a squeeze past this resistance here. And we get to get out somewhere up in this neighborhood, right? False break, you guys know that false breakdowns leads to breakouts, false breakdowns lead to reversals, and vice versa. So if I can get myself in, I want to take advantage of it. So we'll see by the end of the day. I put in a little tester tracker position right now, and by the end of the day, I'm going to get aggressive long US dollar Canadian or US dollar CNH if we get a full-on reversal today. Also, you notice the US dollar Canadian, we were talking about that on the FACE webinar this morning, about the price action starting to suggest that we're getting a reversal here. And this is another one. We get above 122. And I'm already long some dollar Canadian, and I'm short Canadian yen. It's small, but I want to be more aggressive if we do see a full-on reversal. So that's something that, again, I want to be involved in more aggressively if we see reversals by the end of the day. So let's go ahead and write this down on the bias chart. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late today. I'm just trying to figure out this technical issue that we're dealing with regarding the chat rooms and the links and everything else. Okay, so dollar Canadian. So support will be this trend line support now. That means the lows of the day are very important, or we could actually write 120.50 because it'll be a rising trend line. So I'll write down 120.50. Now, we're above trendline resistance, which means that the real resistance is going to be 122. I mean, you can see the little spike right there, but this resistance is going to be really key. Okay. And as I've told you guys, while we're below 122, you got to, keep it with a bearish designation. But if you are trading, counter trend, do what I do. Just be small. Don't be too aggressive until we get confirmation that we're seeing a big reversal. Okay. All right. Let's go over to the euro. So here's the euro. Euro's at risk of a false breakout. So 122.80 is going to be the 88% retracement. This is all written last night in the on the ForexAnalytix platform. Support will be right here now. It's that horizontal support is trendline support, and that's now critical for bulls. 121.60. That has to hold. If we break that, we would have to turn to probably near-term bearish pretty quickly. Okay. For now, we are. It's hard for me to put bullish with us maybe having a false breakout, but I have to. More above that trend line. Don't worry, I can flip that to bearish below that trend line if we have to. Cable. This is a risk right now. If we break through 141, we should trade back to 140. And obviously 142 is resistance currently. You can see the overnight high or yesterday's high was 142 and change. So this is all really key resistance. So 141. In case we break that, and I'm going to have to write this down. Okay. $42.20. Damn, dollar yen, man. Screaming. I'm going to have to keep it bullish while above 140, but, I'm not opposed to flipping these back to neutral by the end of the day. Aussie. Same. 78.20. 76.90. Whoops. Kiwi. I'm sorry, 72. This has to hold because if this doesn't, then this Kiwi is going to come under a lot of pressure. So 72.70. A lot of people that bought it overnight. I got squeezed out of my Kiwi yen. So this is, you can see that this is a risk now. In order to keep this bullish, we have to break above 73.20. And I'm not going to put that bullish until we get a daily close above it. We get a daily close above that trend line like today, then I'll flip it. Okay. Let's see here. Dollar Swiss. Let's watch the dollar. Let's watch the Swissy here. I mean, we're holding. We might get down to this 89.10. This is the 78% retracement. But man, if we get above this 90-cent level, it could squeeze to 89.10. We're going to keep that bearish for now. Whoops. There we go. US dollar, Norwegian krona, we're holding. Oops. See that trend line? This is the wedge trend line, right? What did we write down as support yesterday? 827. Today's low is 827.72. So that's obviously pretty important. Again, 842 is going to be major resistance. I'm going to keep it on range. It's not bullish, but we're starting to base again. Dollar Mexican peso, stronger here, but we have to get above 20. I was going to write down 2010, 2007. I'll write down 2010. 2030 is resistance. That's key. I wanted to be able to put an asterisk there instead of more zeros because I do think that this is critical resistance. Dollar yen. So, this is my chart of the day yesterday, and I have to go point out yields are higher today a little bit. So maybe that's what's goosing the dollar yen a little bit, but this dollar yen's tricky. If this dollar yen trades back below this 850 level, I think it is going to turn bearish. I'm not trading it right now, but I'll tell you, if it breaks 108.50, I would add to my Canadian yen exposure. Oops, I'm sorry, this is 109.65. My bad. And keep that in range. Dollar index. Little false breakdown yesterday below this 89.60. It does put the 90 and a quarter at risk of a breakout now. So 89.60. $90.25, and that is key resistance. It's bearish until that level breaks, but I'm starting to believe that we are going to break that. We'll see though. The proof will be in the price. We have to watch. We have to let price do the work for us. Alex says 827, 842. Did I type that in correctly? 827, 842. US dollar, Norwegian krona, right? Oh, Alex said, oh no, I asked. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. S&P. So this is a Gartley. We wrote it. We drew it out yesterday, and you know what? It's holding. Okay. If you recall our conversation yesterday, does that make me bearish equities? No, but what I'm seeing here with the dollar and how the dollar is acting against like the CNH, against the dollar Canadian, the dollar Mexican peso, does make me wonder if we're going to break down here. So I think this is going to be pretty key support here for today. Right about there, which spike low would be 41.40. If we get below 41.40, maybe that'll open up the door for a move back down here. So resistance is going to be what is that? 42.10, 42.20. That's the 88% retracement. I'll write down 42.20, then 42.40. It's actually 42.50 would be the 42.45. Okay. Gold, silver, and I'm almost thinking that I need to reshort silver again. I was just saying that in the chat room.
I hate you, Blake.
What?
I'm kidding.
I know. But look at the. Yeah. I feel like I got wiggled out of my silver. The reason why I say that is I covered it at 27.90 something yesterday, 95, 96, somewhere around here. And I feel like it just squeezed out myself and a few other people.
Well, the thing is, today silver was up all day, and then at what was it, about 40 minutes ago, there was one seller, the usual one seller, just banging the price lower, and this has been happening almost every day, and it usually recovers. So it's not. I think it's not. It's not a convincing move. Let's put it that way. So I'm not sure if you did it, if you were right or wrong in closing it, but let's see.
But you know what it is, Stelios? It's not just so much that it's it's how it's moving in conjunction with the dollar. That's it, and it's more of what I'm seeing in the dollar. That's like,
yeah, fair point.
It's telling me, oh man, did I really get squeezed? I'm not in it right now. So I'm gonna write down 78.20 as resistance, those spike highs. 28.20. And this is really key support because this is that trend line. Okay. And I'm gonna keep it in range because unlike gold's breaking out, which we have to be respectful of this. 1925 support is right here, 1845. 1845. And this is, the one thing that says, okay, well, maybe, we're going to still follow gold higher. And Bitcoin, to be honest, looks like crap. 43,000. As long as we are below that, we have to remain bearish. So that's all I care about right there. And this is 30,000. We break 30,000, we're going to 20,000. And I think it's trading heavy. So there's your analysis. Martin says rally from 40.20 and S&P is 3 waves. So potentially move lower to 4,000 again, at least. It's possible. And what's that going to do to the dollar? Anyway, thanks for your feedback, Martin. Guys, I'm going to leave this to you. So there you go. And Stelios, Steve, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Blake.
I think we have a winner for the title of the year. Just came through.
The quote. What?
GameStop announces it's building an NFT platform on Ethereum. Just break down that sentence. GameStop, it's already funny there, announces that it's building an NFT platform on a cryptocurrency. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
I mean, if they asked me, when my kids asked me about this period of time, I can answer now in one sentence. One day, GameStop came out and said it's building an NFT platform on a cryptocurrency.
Steve, have you seen this video of this kid on YouTube? Very popular. This kid where its brother bites his finger and says, "Oh, Timmy or whatever bit my finger," and it got like a few million.
No, I haven't seen the video, but I read that it got off.
It was sold, yeah, an NFT of that. Basically, it was sold for like $1 million or something like that. I mean, well done. That kid just bought his whole university tuition fees plus more.
Don't be sure. Probably soon enough, a couple of years of university maximum.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's take the screen.
Yeah. Okay. So let me grab the screen.
Let's go.
Okay, there we go. So still.
Yes. Well, not much to say again today. I mean, I'm not, there's not, the only interesting thing seems to be cryptos and if Bitcoin is going to reach 43K, 43K or not. Currencies are kind of nowhere today. Metals we talked about, equities aren't changed. I mean, I don't see anything, unfortunately, I don't see anything new or anything that's changed from yesterday. I don't know about you, but I have.
I'm not a fan of reversals, but it's very easy for me to make the technical case for possible reversals in both the dollar pairs and the stock markets, right? So the basic thesis would be like, oh, look at USD Swiss potentially. This is a 4-hour chart, by the way. I'm going to be showing some 4-hour charts. Here is a potential like descending wedge. Here is the Euro USD, a potential ascending wedge. Here's the DXY, a potential descending wedge, right? Here's the S&P, a potential corrective move after this leg lower and needs one more to go. So by the way, since we're talking about the S&P, support is 4180. Below 4180, I think we open more downside. So keep that in mind as a short-term support area that might indicate that something else is playing out and we're not going straight higher. So from a risk-reward perspective, and only from a risk-reward perspective, because clearly if stock markets roll over and they produce like a risk-off move, that is definitely going to help the case with the dollar, getting somewhat bid, right? Blake and Dale earlier, by the way, since we're talking about it, already mentioned like some slowdown in USD CAD, and if somebody really wants to focus only on the short term, can say that we've already made a little bit of a move here in USD CAD. The equivalent for USD NOK would be breaking through this high, so USD NOK is some distance away. So all of those provide decent risk-reward opportunities to go counter trend. Now, would I be doing that? The answer is no. I don't feel I have any reason to do that at the moment. But from a technical perspective, there is a solid argument for people that like to jump the gun and take more chances on the entry point to find themselves with a very appealing risk-reward ratio if they're in the right side of the market, to do so. So having said that, I'll need to reiterate here that nothing has changed since yesterday, having to do with Bitcoin. In my opinion, probably some type of a consolidation is playing out here. Ethereum looks somewhat better, but and it also produced a lower low, which Bitcoin didn't. So Bitcoin looks heavier to me. So if I wanted to be short, I would choose Bitcoin as a vehicle in comparison to Ethereum, or, for example, since it has now become like the number 4, if I remember right, cryptocurrency by capitalization, or Dogecoin. So, Bitcoin, I think, looks worse than the others for the time being, from a technical perspective. Now, we can have many opinions about metals, but I think one thing is for sure. Gold has done more than enough to prove that it has broken out. It actually hasn't even managed to have a negative day in so many days. We've now punched through the 78.6% fib of this last move lower, and if we want to take the high to the low, we're approaching the 61.8 and 1922. I think even if we get a pullback in this market, there is a very, very good chance that a retest of this broken channel is going to be enough for buyers to step in once again. So keep that in mind. Now, admittedly, as I've said before, silver doesn't look this good, or platinum doesn't look this good. Platinum, by the way, back tested this broken triangles trend line support as a resistance earlier, and so far seems to be getting rejected. Palladium still in corrective mode, but keep in mind that 2700 is a nice area of support. There was a mention before, and it's interesting because I did want to talk about the USD CNH, so I'm going to go there after crude oil. Crude oil remaining extremely well bid, still being capped by this trend line resistance. But in all honesty, I can't look at this chart and be bearish, right? Once again, though, as I said before, if you want to be bearish from a risk reward perspective, yeah, you have every reason to do so. But we are back testing again a trend line resistance. So, it might hold. We might get rejected again, right? So I'm not advocating that somebody should be buying on resistance, but I'm saying that, I see a lot of buying interest here, and despite the huge move higher in crude oil, you see that there are no corrections in price. In essence, it's all corrective moves we've seen since we bottomed out at 11, having to do with the continuous, have been in time rather in price, and that is a very, very bullish signal. Now, USD CNH, we talked about it here some time ago, where I said that, listen, it looks to me that this is another corrective move and we're headed lower once again. And yes, we did break down. So, this is no big surprise, and I really don't see any support area until we reach that low, right? The one we had in 2018 in this time of the year. No, actually it was a little bit earlier, spring of 2018, right? So it's a 2+ year low. So I think USD CNH is going to continue moving lower, and my prediction is that eventually it's going to break that low as well and keep on heading lower once again. So yeah, no surprise there for me. Let me see if there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to mention in the FX world, and that is Euro Pound and some of the rest of the Euro crosses. So Euro Pound, in my opinion, probably another corrective rebound here. So I would expect a continuation lower. I think this still looks good for continuation to the downside, and especially given yesterday's move in the Kiwi. I wanted to mention these crosses: Euro Aussie, Euro Kiwi, Pound Aussie, Pound Kiwi, with more emphasis in Euro Kiwi and Pound Kiwi. I still believe that probably these moves are also corrective, and I expect them more likely to get resolved to the downside. Now, what can put some delay in a continuation lower? Once again, if we get that risk-off move in the stock markets, that should postpone the resumption of the downtrends. Here's Euro Kiwi, by the way, as you see, an equivalent formation, but with yesterday's push lower, looks much closer to a breakdown, right, than the Euro Aussie does. And if we look at the pound Aussie and the pound Kiwi, you'll see that they're not very dissimilar. So here's the pound Aussie, right? Same deal, as you see. Probably corrective channel. Why do I say it's corrective? You can see the nature of it, like choppy overlapping, taking a long time to retrace a fraction of the price, right? All these are corrective characteristics. And here's the pound Kiwi, as we saw it some time ago. It has played out perfectly so far. I do think that, we now have a confluence of supports like 190, 170, previous low, 50% fib. And now, since this is an ascending channel, now the channel's trend line support has also converged at this area, meaning we break through 190, 170. Now you want to give it a little bit more space, like 190, 150. I think this is a very bearish development. And you should be looking lower. And I do believe that most likely than not, these pairs are going to be continuing to the downside. As I said, there can be a postponement if this scenario plays out here in the S&P, or if you want to look at the Nasdaq, this scenario plays out in the Nasdaq, right? But I do think that this equity scenario is the only thing that can salvage somewhat temporarily the dollar, and some of these grocers from selling off more aggressively. Anyhow, this is the recap I had in mind, so we might as well go to questions now. Let me pull up the question box and go through it. Rally from 4,020 in SPX is in 3 waves, so potential move lower to 4,000 again at least, says Martin. And yes, I agree. That's my point. I do think that this recovery in equities for the time being doesn't look impulsive or the beginning of an impulse. Now, it's not impossible, but for the time being, yes, it looks like from a risk reward perspective, this is a decent area for somebody to take a stab to the downside by risking very little. I still have since last week a small half a position, actually, short in the SPX, and I'm still holding it against the highs. Initially, I thought I would have a less risk tolerance, but then I thought, it's like half a position. I mean, what the hell? You want to do it right. So I'm still holding half a position short. I'm out of the money now, not a lot. So I'll see. It might play out. And yes, I do agree. The first area of support it's not exactly at 4,000. It's a little bit lower. If you notice, it's here, which is like 3,980 something, right? So I think that's a natural next downside target if we actually roll over from here, right? Steve, these charts you're showing, are they available on ForexAnalytix on the daily analysis for each pair? Do you mean, are you asking if my charts are uploaded on a daily basis? No, I do the weekend analysis. So I upload my charts with exactly what you're saying here every weekend. Blake does the within the week updates. But yeah, I do upload my charts every weekend. Anyhow, don't forget
we have to mention that Amanda and Paulie also upload on the
Yes, of course. Don't forget also that my time horizon is not shorter term, right? So my thesis about things very rarely changes, like intraday, because that's not my time horizon, right? So Apple, we have some questions. Let's see. Apple. Haven't had a look at Apple for some time. You see, this is an interesting example of why corrective moves need a lot of price action for context, right? Because we had this that looked like a very nice triangle, and it did. Indeed, it was potentially a nice triangle that would imply continuation lower. But it proves that there was a larger formation at play here, right? Which, of course, we couldn't know in advance. And it was again a triangle, but a bigger one. Now, this has different implications because the smaller one implied a potential continuation lower. This one can very, very easily imply a continuation higher because this move seems to want to play out in time rather in price, right? So you can see the difference here, right? There's a big difference. So seeing this formation now with, in hindsight, by having more price action, it looks more likely to me that it can break to the upside than to the downside. Now, once again, there is a caveat to that interpretation because there is also a smaller time frame interpretation, which would be something like that, which would be short-term bearish, but wouldn't change the outlook for the medium to long term, would be something like this. And which means that, the technical formation would change once again by having more price action to a channel instead of a symmetrical triangle, right? So these are likely interpretations here in Apple. Now, there is a good risk reward perspective to be short in the short term. You can see here why, right? So there is a good risk reward opportunity to be short if you're looking for something like that. Now, if you're looking for a medium to long term trade, I think that looks like it's higher, but it's not certain it's from current levels. So keep that in mind. So if I wanted to be buying, to make it very simple, I'm seeing two viable alternatives. One of them is buying from a breakout from there, and the other one would be buying from somewhere here, right? That's what I think. You say it looks like a cup and handle formation, but there is no, I don't think that's the case, right? I don't think that's the case because the cap's high should have been much, much closer in proximity to that high. That's the only reason I'm saying that. Okay. Now, having said that, even if that was the case, as I said, my outlook here is probably bullish if we were talking medium to long term, right, and not bearish. But keep in mind, as I said, there is a good likelihood that in the short term it's probably a sell instead of a buy in the short term. Oh, you said from September, so you mean this being the cap and this the handle? No, there is no symmetry anymore. It could be made as being the case that this would be an ugly looking one, but not now that we made another dip lower and we're prolonging this even further, because now the handle's length is rather big in comparison to the length of the cap, which also doesn't have much of a symmetry having to do with the two highs, that high and that high. So no, I don't think it's the right interpretation to see it as a cap and handle formation, either in the short term or in the medium term. Natural gas, LNG. Oh, LNG. Yeah, natural gas, LNG. Let's see. LNG. Is this the one you want? Just confirm if this is the LNG you're looking for. Yes, that's the one. Let's open it here, actually. So this is the one. Yeah, clearly bullish, right? Let's see. So first of all, that was obviously an important breakout. Now we've been having a very nice healthy uptrend, and there's not even RSI divergence yet. This new high comes with a new high in the RSI. You know, there is some RSI divergence if you just look shorter term. So this could be some kind of an attempt of a short-term topping pattern, right? So keep that in mind. Now, I don't think that this has so far long-term implications, but I would definitely not be buying here without a pullback, right? I think a pullback, though, towards 75 would be a nice buying opportunity. So, you know, if I wanted to get involved with this one, I would be buying 75, if you ask me. I wouldn't be buying here, but I would be buying 75. Natural gas. Let's see. So natural gas, I can tell you before even opening the chart, it found support at the previous support of the range. Let me find the chart first. Okay, here it is. Then you can see it. There it is. So it found support again in this support area, but it's finding resistance again in this resistance area. So bottom line, we had that premature breakout here. We fell back in this previous range, and now we seem to be capped by it. I don't really care so much about that, because don't forget that I think this is more or less noise within the context that we still trade within this larger symmetrical triangle. So keep that in mind. So bottom line, you know, would I be doing something with it right here, right now? Yeah, I guess, you know, if you want a short-term trade, a really short-term trade, this can be one, right? Another rejection from here and the move again towards like 288, right? But, you know, not my cup of tea to take this type of trade. ECF, let me copy paste this and see what kind of a future is this. Not crypto, all, yeah. Okay, so we had this parabolic move higher, which seems to have failed for now. And I think this is a very, very, very good technical opportunity for a counter trend move, because I think there should be at least one more leg lower. So I think this looks like a decent short, if you ask me. Right. Very impulsive reversal lower, very corrective rebound higher. I think there's at least one more leg missing. Where could this find support? Likely in the channel that we had been following prior to that, the channel support once again. Okay. That's what I think about it. I think it's a really good risk reward opportunity. Actually, it's a really nice technical chart. To be frank with you, I mean, I would be very tempted to trade it. GRU. Let's look at that. GRU. Ah, there you go. This played out perfectly from the last time we saw it, right? Break higher. Naturally, that should have been expected, right? This is how these work. We probably meant to have that there, but you know, a triangle, right? And what have we said about triangles? Breakouts from triangles are usually terminal, and there it is. It was a terminal breakout. Now let's extend this. We've already broken down there. Now that all this has played out, there is a decent danger for a deeper corrective move here. So I wouldn't be going against this move. I think there might need to be, you know, a lot more downside before we can find buyers once again. At the very least, I would say towards 365. XRT. Same deal, right? Exactly what I said for that one applies to this one. More likely to see a bullish breakout, but you should be careful because it's a triangle. There's a good chance it's going to be terminal. Now, there is a chance it also breaks down directly. How would you know? By looking at this trend line support, in which case I would be looking, in both cases actually, I would be looking for at least a pullback towards 74 and change. Okay, like this. Okay, KRE, another triangle. So, no need for me to repeat myself. You know the deal, you know the drill. Probably this is my main case scenario, right? Bind, that's beyond mid, right? Yeah, last time we had a look at it, we had this triangle, we broke down. I said that might be another triangle that's about to break down. It wasn't. Okay. Rather surprising, because this type of price action is usually continuation, but there are no absolute rules. It's just statistics. Statistically speaking, this was looking much more likely to break the downside, which it didn't do in this case. The question is, what happens from here? First of all, I have to tell you, this chart looks very ugly. I mean, I really wouldn't trade it in any case. This type of price action, choppy, sharp moves, but very overlapping, doesn't really go anywhere despite making promises, that it's going to move somewhere fast. Where to from here? It's currently more or less testing resistance, I can tell you that much, roughly here at 125. Other than that, I'm not going to even give you an opinion, because I don't have one. I don't want to force myself to have one. I mean, this looked more likely that it's going to continue lower to me. It hasn't done so, and given the prior price action as well, I really don't know. I don't see something I would trade at the moment. I can tell you that much. Is that a ticker X?
Yes, that's US Steel. Yes.
Okay. Be careful here. Be very, very careful. Be very, very, very careful. Right? Be very, very careful. No need for me to say more, right? Now, can't this happen? Of course it can, right? But be very, very careful, because it can just break down directly from here. This seems to me in many aspects like a, technically good ascending wedge. The type of price action, the time it has taken to unfold, the persistent RSI divergence. Yeah. You want to be a buyer? There you go. This is your opportunity. We're exactly on support. Exactly. So, you can be a buyer and risk very little. But, I would really warn caution here. I think this looks like it can easily make the move lower, in which case, technically speaking, that implies a move back towards 16, right? A full retracement of the wedge, that is. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention. I think it's a good looking chart and a good technical opportunity, both for people that might want to be short and for those that want to be long, right? Because you want to be short, you just need a little bit more downside, and you can sell the breakdown in this case, right? Now, on the other hand, you believe that this wedge is going to sustain itself for longer. There you go. This is your opportunity to be buying here today. Okay. Thank you, guys and gals. See you again tomorrow.
Thank you, Steve. See you, everybody.
Thank you, Stel. Bye.